Coach, what are some of the benefits of having Kelly on the roster that you see early?
Kelly's a really versatile player. He's obviously been around the NBA for a while, so he has a lot of just sort of corporate knowledge with how to play in the NBA. But he's a really smart, skilled basketball player. He can play in a couple different positions on the floor and just provides us with a lot of intelligence.
So how do you think the first day went?
Thought it was great. Yeah, good to finally have the full group in the gym together. Everybody was super high energy. We played a lot today, so got competitive. You guys know how it is when you have a deadline coming up. It's like you just want to start already. You just want it to be over. So it was great to just get going today.
Kelly mentioned that he noticed you kind of let guys play free, just let them play.
Mhm.
Is that something that's just during training camp, or is that kind of how you want guys to be out there? Or when do you kind of start to add a little bit more structure?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate Kelly saying that. This is a time for us to all learn each other, but I do think that it's important for us as coaches to help the players, build some autonomy on the floor. I'm not out there in the game with them. I don't have 72 timeouts in a game to call, so their ability to problem solve and communicate amongst each other is going to be paramount for our success.
Are there obvious strengths you can see on this team, just on paper before you're even out there?
Obvious strengths on paper?
Just like, some teams obviously can shoot. Some teams really can run. Some teams can defend. Like, what do you see from this team that you think is an obvious strength?
Right, I think we're a skilled offensive team. I think we have a lot of guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot. Gives us a lot of versatility on that end. We don't have a lot of guys who are pigeonholed in one position. I think we have a lot of guys who can play in a couple different spots.
You have a unique schedule. Preseason in itself is kind of with some games spaced. And do you have blocks in your mind of where you're trying to get something done to here or something here, and then almost another training camp at the end, or how are you viewing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our job right now is to get ourselves organized and ready to play our first 2 preseason games. Then obviously after those first 2, we have a good chunk of practice before we play our 2 final home preseason games. So it gives us an opportunity as a staff to put some things on the floor now, look at them in 2 games, and then kind of go back to the drawing board and tweak and adjust and have 2 final games. So I think our schedule works out great for us.
Do you already have an idea on what your rotation might be, or is that well down the road?
Yeah, I don't. I don't have a set rotation in my mind right now.
You mentioned yesterday that one of the early focuses of this week would be just kind of a lot of conditioning, a lot of making sure guys are in shape and ready to go. What are some of the other things that you're looking to kind of get established in these early days? Yeah,
I think we need to continue to build our structure on both ends of the floor, how we're going to play offensively, how we're going to play defensively. It settles the guys' minds to know the situations that they'll be in on both ends of the floor. And then again, just trying to create a team competitiveness. The guys, they're going to have to rely on each other in the games. And so we need our practices to be highly competitive. They need to push each other every day in practice.
We asked you yesterday kind of if you had a plan yet on how you envision kind of the offensive scheme going. I guess I would ask the same thing about defense, given that Jared Vanderbilt yesterday talking about how got a lot of young, athletic guys. He envisions, kind of a lot of creating chaos, I think was the way he put it. How would you put it?
Yeah, I mean, Jared has the ability to create chaos, which will be good for us. I view our team, again, having some versatility because of that youth and some of that athleticism. I think, we need to try to do a couple different things. I'm not sure that we can be a team that does just one thing on that end of the floor.
Kind of going back to what you were talking about with guys learning how to problem solve within the course of the game.
Mm-hmm.
When you're practicing and that's something on your mind that you want them to learn, is it kind of a dead ball when you're at practice where you take a guy to the side and you explain something? Is that something that they discuss with sort of positional coaches? How do you go about developing that?
Yeah, I think we put them in situations in practice where they have to problem solve. We try to coach them during dead balls, timeouts, in between drills. We're also fortunate this day and age that we have such great technology to film practice and film our own scrimmages, and we're able to give them feedback, with the film on different situations the next day. So, all those things are huge as we try to have our team learning curve keep going up. We have to try to constantly be teaching, and that's on me and that's on our staff.
Walker Kessler yesterday kind of was like, hey, I am a film junkie. I watch a lot. Have you seen that at all yet?
Yeah, Walker spends a lot of time with our assistant coaches. Like a lot of players, he has a lot of questions, and he wants to be prepared. He knows this is a big step for him going to the NBA and that it's going to be very different than playing in college. So he's been really diligent trying to learn as fast as he can with our assistants, but there's a lot of things, as you guys know, that you just don't learn until you're out there and you actually feel it. So that's why training camp's really important for Walker.
This might be an oversimplification, but some theories that, hey, we're going to do one thing, we're going to do it particularly well, we're going to make sure we do it perfectly, either offensively or defensively, or we're going to be massively versatile and be able to change it up a great deal. Like, do you have a feeling on which of those you'd rather be as a coach or a team?
Yeah, you're not going to like this answer, but I'm probably somewhere in between.
Okay.
I think, again, looking at our roster, I think our job and my job as the coach is to evaluate the strengths of our team and try to put them in the best positions possible for them. I think versatility is something that is a strength for our team. So we need to be flexible, not only with lineups that we play, but style of play at times.
How did Walker, Nochai, and even Simone look day one?
They were great. Each of them had some good moments today. Each of them had some rookie moments today. I know that all three of those guys were incredibly excited and probably a little bit anxious to start today. It's a big moment for them, their first real NBA practice. So I thought they all handled themselves great.
With that versatility question, kind of related to David's, are you at the point where you want to say, hey, we want to be a majority switch team, or we want to be a majority drop big team, or are you still kind of evaluating what the strengths are of your roster and seeing what's happening in training camp, before you put, hey, this is what we want to do a majority of the time?
Yeah, I think we're still evaluating. I think right now the evaluation process is probably more based on our personnel. Each player has particular strengths, and we're trying to sort out, how we best implement each player when they're on the court. Certain guys may be better in drop right now today. Certain guys may be more comfortable switching today. So it's our job to accentuate those strengths and continue to work on the parts that they can get better at.
Do you think that Walker looks like you?
Do I think? I honestly hadn't thought about it till right now. I'm guessing that you do.
It's a large joke online.
Oh, really?
You might not be seen in the same room together.
Might be worth downloading
Yeah,
Twitter
Twitter
for.
might be.
Yeah.
Okay. That Walker and I haven't been seen in the same room together. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah, he said that the joke has been made to him.
Oh, okay.
He said that a compliment to you.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Coach, what have you seen out of Colin and, just, on both ends of the floor?
Colin's intense. He's super competitive on both ends for sure. His athleticism and burst changes the game when he's in. He's just highly competitive every day. He has an amazing personality. He's a fun guy to be around. Big smile. He's been great so far.
He said you guys have a number that you're trying to get to with his assists. What do you hope to get out of that? Because you can, there's artificial assist numbers. There's
For sure.
different types of numbers.
Yeah, I think it's more encouraging Colin to use his abilities to help his teammates. He has an ability to beat his own man off the dribble. He has an ability in transition to put a lot of pressure on the rim, and I think that can really create easy opportunities for his teammates. In no way am I trying to limit Colin's ability to score. He's shown in the NBA that he can score points, but this team needs him to also facilitate for everybody else.
Kind of one of the consistent words that's come up over these first few days, well, two words, energy and competitive. I guess kind of what are you looking to establish just in terms of, getting guys going after each other? Obviously, there's a lot of guys with, a lot to prove individually. I guess, what are you looking for from these first few days and along those lines?
I think it's them getting used to being a team. I think as many environments as we can put them in practice where there are stakes, you are trying to win, and you're doing it with the group that you have. Our team is versatile, and there's a lot of different groups that could play together, so we try to do our best as a staff to mix up the groups that are playing in scrimmages and in some of the competitive, small-sided games we've been doing. It's really just trying to create that environment for them where everything's competitive and they're doing it together.
Mike said Nikhil has stood out a little bit. He's, despite the fact that he was there last year, he's still kind of a mystery to Jazz fans. What have you seen? What does he do well?
Nikhil is a very, very skilled, diverse offensive player. He has good size, is a very good passer. He can put the ball in the basket. When he's open and he shoots, I think it's going in. He's just really shown a confidence, too, throughout open gym and training camp that I think has been really, really great for our group. His presence when he has the ball sort of settles everybody down. Nikhil's been awesome.
Colin, among kind of guards of his prototype, doesn't take that many threes. And I guess I'm curious, do you want him to take more threes moving forward, or do you like kind of his shot selection?
I think I would like to see, Colin shoot good available shots. If good three-pointers are available to Colin, I think we'd like to see him shoot them. But right now it's really about him embracing his role on this team as a primary handler, as somebody that can, collapse a defense. So I think at this point we haven't talked a ton about his particular shot selection. It's more about just kind of how he approaches every day.
Along those lines from Andy, how much does player identity go into building your team versus kind of what league trends are? You do have to do what the league is doing, right?
Yeah, I think you have to take both into account. There are some elements of analytics and league trends that you can't escape. There are some baseline thresholds that you need to meet as a team to be competitive in the games. Some of that ends up being just basic math. But I do think that we have to try to utilize our players' strengths in all those areas. The three-point line has been obviously a massive transition in the NBA recently, and we encourage our players to shoot good ones.
I get that some of this is terminology and there's, elements of versatility and that come into it, but then a guy like Lauri, who for the first few years of his career pretty much, exclusively played kind of a stretch four role.
Mm-hmm.
Last year in Cleveland, they deploy him a lot more offensively, at least as kind of a wing.
Mm-hmm.
Mike today references him as a big. I guess kind of how do you see his kind of ultimate role here in terms of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think that's what you just described is what's exciting about Lauri, is that he isn't one thing. Because he is big in terms of his size, he is very skilled and comfortable with the ball in his hands on the perimeter. I think that allows us as a team to play a variety of lineups. I think, my biggest thing with Lauri is, he made massive strides last year in Cleveland on the defensive end, and that's going to have to remain. He's going to have to rebound the ball really well for us. In a lot of ways, I'm not worried about his offensive game. I think he's a really, really good player on that end and can do a bunch of different things. So right now the focus is on some of the other areas where he can help the team.
Mike mentioned guys who can rebound and go. How many of those guys do you have?
Almost all of them. I would say right now, outside of maybe Walker Kessler, who's, a young big, Jared Vanderbilt, Lauri, Kelly Olynyk, Rudy Gay, I think all of those guys have the ability to get a rebound and start our transition. I think it's going to help our team pace.
think it's fair to say Jared Butler struggled during summer league. So what have you seen from him in the first couple days and OTAs as well from Jared?
Yeah, Jared's been great. He's a really mature young player. His approach every day is very professional about, his process every single day, and he showed that consistently through open gym and has done so the first 2 days of camp. Like, Jared he's a serious young player and takes a lot of pride in how he approaches every day. I think he's really represented himself well throughout open gym and training camp.
Have you been happy with the number of possessions you guys have generated during camp? I know you said that you want to run, you want to play fast, you want to play faster. So have you been happy with the possessions? Have you been happy with the pace?
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't played a full game yet, so we haven't necessarily been tracking the total possessions. But I think the pace that we've played with in camp has been outstanding the first 2 days. To Ben's question earlier with the versatility of number of people that can push the ball, I think we've seen that the first 2 days. It's allowed for our team to get out and run. I would say the guys are embracing trying to play with pace right now, and our conditioning will get there soon.